Proudly broadcasting from the Richard Philip Cavallaro Studio.
WRHU.
Hempstead.
You discovered.
A cornerstone of the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication.
WRHU.
Now, Long Island's largest radio news team brings you the Associated Press award-winning program, Newsline.
Coming up on Newsline Wednesday, April 17, 2024.
Biden gives support for a Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan aid package.
New developments in the removal of Alejandro Mayorkas.
A massive storm in the Middle East floods Dubai's airport.
And the UK reports that Israel is certain to retaliate against Iran.
Ask shareholders to restore Elon Musk's pay package, and the stocks are stocking. I'm Jack Ferretti, and I'll have all that and more later in the broadcast.
In entertainment today, Disneyland releases an expansion proposal. Then, updates on Travis Kelce's new hosting gig, and some surprising news with Zendaya and the Met Gala. I'm Jasmine Sellers, and I'll have all that and more later in the broadcast.
In sports, Islanders play their final game of the season in a major update on the investigation of John Tay Porter. I'm Ryan Resco, and I'll have that and more later in sports.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cameron Bowden.
And I'm Fatma Moen. We begin tonight's broadcast on Capitol Hill. In a statement issued today, President Joe Biden said that he strongly supports a proposal for Ukrainian, Israeli, and Taiwanese aid. President Biden's support for the package sends crucial bipartisan support for the over $95 billion in aid to the U.S. allies. President Biden said, quote, "The House must pass the package this week, and the Senate should quickly follow. I will sign this into law immediately to send a message to the world. We stand with our friends, and we won't let Iran or Russia succeed." In addition to Biden, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin also offered support for the package, as he believes Ukraine is in desperate need of the aid.
We're seeing them make incremental gains. We're seeing the Ukrainians be challenged in terms of holding the line. They're doing a very good job, a credible job. But in order to continue to do that, they're going to need the right materials, the right munitions, the weapons to be able to do that.
With expected voting this weekend, this Democratic support is a push to keep Speaker of the House Mike Johnson in power, as he was at risk of losing his position if Ukraine remained unfunded.
Today, the Senate dismissed all impeachment articles against Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas over his handling of the immigration crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border. While senators were sworn in for the conviction trial, Democrats say that they wanted to end the trial as fast as possible and did so extremely swiftly prior to arguments even taking place. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer immediately moved to dismiss the crimes, stating that the articles of impeachment did not reach the necessary threshold.
I raise a point of order that Impeachment Article 1 does not allege conduct that rises to the level of a high crime or misdemeanor as required under Article 2, Section 4 of the United States Constitution, and is therefore unconstitutional.
Yesterday, House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson initiated the ceremonial process of presenting the articles of impeachment to the Senate with a band of other Republican representatives.
He has repeatedly violated the public trust in a way that no previous cabinet secretary in the history of the United States has, and he has willfully defied federal immigration laws, willfully defied the will of Congress, the bipartisan will of Congress, bipartisan laws that were enacted.
The House of Representatives narrowly avoided to impeach Mayorkas in February, arguing he refused to endorse immigration laws. The dismissal of the impeachment articles was an outright defeat for Speaker Johnson, who made impeachment a major priority in his time as Speaker.
Flying over to the Middle East, in the United Arab Emirates, historic rainfall flooded the Dubai International Airport. The heaviest rainfall to date since data started being collected in 1949 disrupted flights going across the world's busiest airfield. The rainfall also touched ground in neighboring desert nations, including Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. One possibility for the abnormal rainfall is due to cloud seeding, the process of increased precipitation by government jets burning special salt flares. It's no surprise that scientists point to climate change to be the general reasoning behind the more intense and frequent weather extremities around the world.
The British Foreign Secretary, despite previously hoping that Israel would not retaliate against Iran for their missile attack, has announced today that Israel is, quote, making a decision to act. The retaliatory strike stems from an earlier attack this week where Iranian drones and missiles attempted to strike southern Israel. The Israeli defense minister says 99% of the over 300 missiles were struck down, with only one injury being recorded. Earlier this week, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron said that he was hoping Israel would not retaliate.
They've revealed to the world that they are the malign influence in the region prepared to do this. So our hope is that there won't be a retaliatory response, and instead the world's focus should shift to Hamas. We're trying to avoid escalation, and the action we took alongside the Americans and others clearly has helped to stop that escalation.
However, the British secretary, who is currently in Israel, has said Israel will ignore the pleas from foreign allies like the US and UK, who are attempting to limit escalation. Iranian government officials have also responded to these statements, saying that the tiniest invasion would bring a massive and harsh response.
Back over to Hempstead. In recognition of Autism Acceptance Month, WRHU's Brooklyn Dotton spoke to some Hofstra students and Dr. Kimberly Gilbert about what this month means to them and their experiences with this month here at Hofstra.
On Monday, I talked to students at Hofstra about Autism Acceptance Month. Autism Acceptance Month is in April, and it holds a great deal of importance to the autistic community. Many people on campus see the value in this month, such as Allison Berg, a freshman who is undecided in communications, who said that she believes that this month is about doing away with ableism.
I think a lot of it still exists because that's, how our country was sort of formed, was around ableist ideas. And I think that we all need to come together and recognize all of the issues that still face us with being more accepting in the autism community.
Amari Bosley, a freshman majoring in video, television, and film, took a more awareness-centered approach to her answer.
To me, I think that Autism Acceptance Month is more so just making sure that everyone is sort of aware of those who do have autism, and then with that, making sure that they're, understanding of different situations, but also making sure that in whatever capacity that they can, making sure that they can aid those with autism in any aspect that they need, and just, more so being understanding or whatever of their situation.
I spoke with Dr. Kimberly Gilbert, the director of the Diagnostic and Research Institute for Autism Spectrum Disorders Clinic at Hofstra University on Tuesday. Gilbert said that the clinic has provided services to help people with autism on campus and off.
And so I think that we provide in the diagnostic clinic that I run at Hofstra, we provide opportunities for social skills and building those social skills. And I think we also do a really good job, hopefully, of providing individual therapy for those that are struggling with anxiety or depression in the college place.
Gilbert stressed the importance of autism acceptance in the academic setting.
I think we want to make sure that whatever needs that they might have in the classroom setting to be able to succeed, I think we're trying to do that and provide that. So if they need a copy of class notes and accommodation is appropriate and needed, then we provide that. If they need extra time, if they need social support, we're going to provide that either through the Student Counseling Center or through the Diagnostic and Research Institute for Autism Spectrum Disorders.
Brooklyn Matthews, a freshman majoring in forensic science, expressed that she thought that Hofstra is taking Autism Acceptance Month seriously, with a bit of uncertainty.
I think they're taking it pretty seriously, but I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if they're doing any events or anything, but then again, I don't keep up with too many of them. But I'm not really sure, but I do think that they're doing good at catering to the people.
However, Thomas Gossman, a junior majoring in computer science, would disagree.
I wouldn't really say that Hofstra is taking it very seriously because I haven't really seen a lot around campus for it or about it.
Berg shared a similar sentiment.
That is one thing I will say, is that I don't see a lot of recognition of Autism Acceptance Month on campus. I kind of wish that it was acknowledged a bit more, and I think it would make everybody a little bit more understanding of the difficulties that people on the spectrum face. So a little bit more recognition by the university would be nice.
The general opinion among the students interviewed is that Hofstra is a welcoming environment for people with autism, yet it could do better at recognizing Autism Acceptance Month and thereby better acknowledging the struggles that people with autism go through, as well as their triumphs. With Newsline, I am Brooklyn Dotton, WRHU.
Thank you once again to WRHU's Brooklyn Dutton for that report on Autism Acceptance Month here at Hofstra University.
Coming up after your Newsline business report with Jack Ferretti, the alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer is expected in court. Diseases are on the rise in NYC because of rat urine, and a man in Queens held up 3 7-Elevens in the span of an hour. But first, your Newsline traffic and weather update with Dorcas Umaru. WRHU News Time is 5:40.
Newsline. Up to the minute local traffic.
On Hempstead Turnpike East, we have some congestion, so be sure to give yourself some extra time if you're traveling in that direction. Over to the Northern State Parkway, we have reports of heavy traffic near exit 33 Wantagh State Parkway. Please plan accordingly and expect some delays in this area. Moving over to the rails, currently the LIRR is operating on or close to schedule with no major delays reported on any of the lines. However, it's always a good idea to check the MTA website or app for real-time updates before heading to the station. Up in the sky, let's start with the airport status information for JFK Airport. Currently, there are general arrival and departure delays of 15 minutes or less due to construction. Departure traffic destined to San Francisco International Airport, San Francisco, California, is currently experiencing delays averaging 36 minutes. Moving on to the LaGuardia Airport, passengers can expect similar conditions with general arrival and departure delays of 15 minutes or less, which is considered normal conditions. Currently, we are experiencing mostly cloudy skies and some showers moving in with a temperature of 55 degrees. As we head into tonight, expect a slight chance of showers. Be sure to grab an umbrella if you're heading out. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we can anticipate partly cloudy skies with a high 51 degrees and a low around 46 degrees. It's going to be a great day to get outside and enjoy some sunshine. With your Newsline traffic update, I'm Dorcas Umaru, and I'll be back with another update coming up later in the broadcast.
Newsline Business News.
Looking at the stocks, the Dow Jones is up 104 points. United Airlines also sees a surge of over 7%, driven by robust demand from business travelers. Travelers also saw a 7% decline due to quarterly results impacted by increased catastrophe losses. Omicron Group and Eli Lilly reported better than expected earnings, with Eli Lilly's stock rising 2% on promising results from a sleep apnea treatment trial. However, J.B. Hunt Transport Services struggled, reporting weaker revenue and results due to competition and rising costs. During a meeting with Indonesia's President Joko Widodo, today Apple CEO Tim Cook expressed interest in exploring manufacturing opportunities. Cook stated, "We talked about the President's desire to see manufacturing in the country, and it's something that we will look at." Cook also highlighted the potential for investment in Indonesia, noting Apple's belief in the country's capabilities. Following the meeting with Widodo, Cook also met with Indonesia's President-elected Prabowo Subianto, who is set to take office in October. Tesla is set to ask shareholders to reinstate a $56 billion compensation package for CEO Elon Musk, which was previously rejected by the Delaware judge. Earlier this year, a Delaware judge ruled against Musk's compensation package, and the new vote will take place during Tesla's annual meeting on June 13th. Earlier this year, they also compensated for it as a 2 million electric vehicle in 2023. Tesla's shares have declined significantly this year, with sales of electric vehicles softening. For your Newsline Business Report, I'm Jack Ferretti, WRHU.
WRHU News Time is 5:43. Thank you, Dorcas Umaru and Jack Ferretti, for those reports. Earth Day is next week on Monday, a time when many across the country take a closer look at important issues affecting their environment at home and globally. Here at Hofstra University, students and staff are examining topics that range from looking at the supply chain of cobalt, a mineral commonly used in electronic devices, to actions people can take to reduce the number of birds killed annually when they accidentally fly into windows.
The best thing that the university could do here would be to really undertake a kind of campus-wide assessment about what buildings, if any, are problematic, where you find birds flying into windows and either getting injured or dying. If you're able to do that, you can then begin to really target your efforts. The best solution then is creating what we call visual interference.
That was bird conservationist John Turner of Massapequa. He was the keynote speaker of an Earth Day event today, organized by the Center for Civic Engagement, the Hofstra Cultural Center, among others. More on Hofstra's Earth Day events on WRHU's Morning Wake Up Call tomorrow from 7 to 9 a.m.
The man accused of being the Gilgo Beach killer, Rex Heuermann, appeared in court today as the prosecution introduced new evidence. The evidence came from Rex Heuermann's properties. It included thousands of pages from a missing persons investigation and digital extractions. Heuermann faces charges related to the murder of 4 women. The next court session is scheduled for June 18th, with a goal to finish discovery by July's end.
According to health officials, a potentially deadly disease caused by exposure to rat urine is on the rise in New York City. The New York City Department of Health released a health advisory after an increased number of reported cases of leptospirosis. Bear with me. Leptospirosis symptoms in humans can include fever, headaches, and red eyes. Health officials say in 2023 there were a record of 24 cases of the disease.
The NYPD is investigating 2 fatal scooter crashes in the Bronx in a citywide effort to seize over 1,600 illegal 2-wheeled vehicles. A 34-year-old man died yesterday night after crashing his scooter while fleeing police on a one-way street. Authorities report that the individual was driving in the wrong direction at approximately 9:30 p.m. During an attempted police stop, he collided with an SUV, a stationary vehicle, and a light pole.
The Manhattan Transportation Authority will temporarily cut overtime pay for New York City transit workers because of budget shortfalls. Overtime payments in the first quarter were reported at over $72 million, the allotted budget amount reaching $1.3 billion. According to a memo from New York City Police President Rich Davey, the organization's, quote, unbudgeted overtime has remained above the budget contingency. The MTA's response was imposing a hiatus to bring the overtime back in line with the budget, in addition to changes that require approval before unplanned overtime can be taken.
NYPD is reporting a string of 3 armed robberies at different 7-Elevens in Queens, occurring within an hour earlier today. A man allegedly stole $400 in cash and $1,500 from 2 stores. The man also allegedly attempted a 3rd robbery. Police described the man to be around 5 foot 8 inches and dressed in gray and black clothing with a surgical mask. Tips can be reported to NYPD Crime Stoppers.
Over to Riverhead, the Riverhead Central School District Board of Education approved a budget last night that would cut positions and affect programs in the district. Even with more educational aid that is being offered in the 2024-25 budget in Albany, the Board of Education claimed that the cuts were due to a lack of COVID aid. At the board meeting, Dr. Marianne Cortesano, the interim superintendent for business, shared the number of reductions was expected around 57 positions being cut.
So I want to talk tonight about our staffing plan, because our staffing plan does include $6.6 million of staff reductions. And most of this, again, was caused by the reductions in our COVID grants. So although there are 37.8 reductions in FTEs, that's in elementary, middle, and high school faculty. That also includes 8 retirees of positions we are not replacing, administrative and teacher assistant support.
Another major area from last night's board meeting was the potential elimination of dual language programs, though the district is expected to keep the program for kindergartners at one school.
Coming up, your Newsline entertainment report with Jasmine Sellers, but first, your Newsline traffic update with Dorcas Sumaro. WRHU News Time is 5:48 p.m.
Newsline. Up to the minute local traffic.
Currently, the majority of traffic heading eastbound is moving away from New York City. So if you're heading in that direction, you might experience some delays. As for the parkways, we're seeing some delays on the Northern, Southern, and Middlebrook State Parkway. It looks like there may be some construction causing a bit of a backup, so be prepared for some slower traffic in those areas. Headed on the Long Island Railroad, for those traveling on the Montauk branch, please be aware that there are an ongoing traffic maintenance project that may cause some slight delays. Plan ahead and allow for extra travel time if you're heading in that direction. Overall, it looks like a smooth commute on the Long Island Railroad today. Remember to stay safe, follow all MTA guidelines, and enjoy your ride. Heading into the skies, let's talk about Newark Airport, like JFK and LaGuardia. Newark is experiencing general arrival and departure delays of 15 minutes or less. As we move into Friday, the weather will remain pleasant with mostly sunny skies and a high high near 57 degrees. The evening will be clear with a low around 43 degrees. And for the weekend, Saturday will bring more sunshine with a high near 68 degrees, perfect for any outdoor activities you have planned. Sunday will be similar with a high near 59 degrees, so make sure to take advantage of the beautiful weather. With your Newsline traffic and weather update, I am Dr. Sumaru, WRHU.
Newsline. Entertainment.
Disneyland is getting a makeover. Are you excited? The project was approved late last night and estimates a budget of at least $1.9 billion to expand Disney's 490-acre campus. Key plans in the proposal include parking lot developments, rides and attractions, and the purchase of a nearby city street to turn it into a crosswalk. Residential neighbor Cassandra Taylor says, quote, "They might have a pedestrian walkway planned now, but once it's theirs, they could just easily remove it." Another neighbor, Scott Martindale, says, quote, "No change or project is perfect, but in this case, the gives outweigh the takes." He adds that Disney has led community outreach about this expansion for 3 years. In other news, Travis Kelce is definitely keeping himself busy in this off-season. The football star is set to host a new game show called Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? For Amazon Prime Video. The main contestant will answer questions with the help of a classroom of celebrities, with the final question being the hardest and worth $100,000. The show is a spin-off of the popular game show Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?, which first aired on Fox in 2007. In a Forbes interview, Kelce says, quote, "I'm just happy to be on the hosting side of the equation here and excited to see how these famous faces keep up." As of now, the show's 20-episode season is completed, but Amazon has yet to announce a premiere date. Up next, I have some fashion news for you. Actress and model Zendaya is finally returning to the 2024 Met Gala after 5 years. For the first time ever, she will serve as a co-chair alongside Chris Hemsworth, Jennifer Lopez, Bad Bunny, and editor-in-chief of Vogue, Anna Wintour. Zendaya, who was no stranger to stealing the spotlight, received much acclaim for her last costume at the 2019 Met Gala, which was an inspiration of Cinderella's ball gown, made by Tommy Hilfiger. In an E! News interview, Zendaya says, quote, "It felt like the right time to try to go back to the Met," noting that she expects her return to be, quote, "very special." This year's showcase is set for May 6th with the theme Sleeping Beauties, Reawakening Fashion, and we expect you to blow us away yet again, Zendaya. For your Newsline Entertainment Report, I'm Jasmine Sellers, WRHU.
WRHU News Time is 5:52 p.m. Thank you, Dorcas Umaro and Jasmine Sellers, for those reports. The U.S. Navy reported that a P-8A Poseidon fighter jet flew through the Taiwan Straits today after U.S. and Chinese defense chiefs held their first talks since November 2022. The release from the Navy says, quote, "By operating within the Taiwan Strait in accordance with international law, the United States upholds the navigational rights and freedoms of all nations. The strait is 100 miles wide and separates China from the self-governing island of Taiwan. Although it is technically international waters, China sees any military exercises in the strait as a threat to their sovereignty. It is expected that China will issue yet another protest against the U.S., as they historically have done so when ships and planes pass through the strait."
President Joe Biden is calling for a major hike in tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminum. In a speech to steelworkers, Biden says he is pushing the tripling of the 7.5% tariff rate. The Biden administration claims China is putting low prices on exports and is undercutting American producers. Biden also wants to work with Mexico to prevent China from circumventing the tariffs. Critics argue that this could rise price, but the White House says it will protect U.S. jobs.
Former U.S. Senator and two-term Florida Governor Bob Graham has passed away. Graham gained national recognition as he was the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. His family says, quote, "We are deeply saddened to report the passing of a visionary leader, dedicated public servant, and even more importantly, a loving husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather." Graham was 87.
Democrats who led the investigation into the January 6th insurrection fear retaliation if Donald Trump were to win the upcoming presidential election. Lawmakers Adam Schiff and Pete Aguilar say they've discussed family safety as Trump threatens to jail Committee members, former officers who testified like Michael Finon, also worry Trump will weaponize justice against them. Experts warn this rhetoric aims to silence critics through fear of tyranny. Trump's camp denies plans for arrests and calls the investigation a sham.
Boeing was subject to back-to-back hearings today by Congress regarding the safety of their planes. The aircraft manufacturer has been in crisis mode ever since a door panel flew off one of their 737 MAX jetliners during a flight in January. In a report issued earlier this year, an expert panel found that Boeing's approach to safety is flawed and that any employee who raised concerns faced retaliation from higher-ups. Whistleblower Sam Selapour told members of the committee that Boeing is putting out defective planes.
4 months after a congressional hearing that led to the resignations of the presidents of Harvard University and the University of Pennsylvania, Congress has called on the president of Columbia to testify about anti-Semitism on the school's campus. While testifying, President Minosh Shafik denounced the anti-Semitism that occurred on her campus.
And let me start by saying that Columbia strives to be a community free of discrimination and hate in all its forms, and we condemn the anti-Semitism that is so pervasive today. Anti-Semitism has no place on our campus, and I am personally committed to doing everything I can to confront it directly.
She also denies claims that the campus had become an area of hatred.
Coming up, your Newsline Sports Break with Ryan Resko. WRHU News Time is 5:55.
From the Philip Cavallero Sports Desk, this is your Newsline Sports Update.
The Islanders play their last regular season homestand today against the Penguins. The Isles already know their first-round playoff matchup. It's a date with the Hurricanes. As for tonight, it is Penguins versus Isles. Chris King and Greg Picker will bring you the action on 88.7 FM and all across the New York Islanders radio network at 7. Today, the Mets finished their three-game set against the Pirates with a series sweep. The Amazings took down Pittsburgh 9-1 today. The Mets took the lead off a Starling Marte two-run homer in the third. After starting the season 0-5, the Mets are winners of 4 straight series. The Yankees are in Toronto today. The Pinstripes are currently losing 4-3, but they do have 2 runners in scoring position in the top of the 9th. In the NBA, the Sixers run into old friend Jimmy Butler in the Miami Heat in the play-in tournament tonight. Philly is listing reigning MVP Joel Embiid as questionable. Winner gets the 2nd seed and plays the 2-seeded Knicks in the first round. Following a month-long investigation, the NBA has given Raptors big man Jontay Porter a lifetime ban from the league for violating league gambling rules. Commissioner Adam Silver says Jontay's blatant violations of our gaming rules are being met with the most severe punishment, his wagers totaling over $54,000. With your Newsline Sports Update, I'm Ryan Resko for WRHU.
That will do it for tonight's edition of Newsline. Many thanks to the entire WRHU News team. Engineering our show this evening was Jason Spiller.
Thank you for tuning into Newsline, only here on your 4-time Marconi Award-winning radio station, 88.7 FM Radio, Hofstra University.
Access real-time local Long Island, New York, and global news, along with content from WRHU Talent, Monday through Thursday, 5:30 to 6 p.m.
And tune back in from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday morning for our talk show, where we discuss Long Island life, national news, and international issues from the minds and mouths of Hofstra students on the morning wake-up call.
Lastly, check us out on social media at WRHU News for behind-the-scenes content.
For Newsline, I'm Fatma Moen.
And I'm Cameron Bowden.
Thank you for listening.
And have a great night.
Newsline is a presentation of Long Island's largest radio news team, comprised of nationally recognized student broadcasters, winners of numerous awards from the Associated Press, Society of Professional Journalists, Radio Television News Directors Association, Hearst Corporation, Long Island Press Club, and other prestigious organizations. Newsline is researched and produced by student journalists using the Hofstra News Hub, cutting-edge multimedia news gathering technology, located in Hofstra's School of Communication, To learn more about News Hub and the Hofstra School of Communication, log on to hofstra.edu. To learn more about News Hub and the Hofstra School of Communication, log on to WRHU.org.